I'm Kevin Casey. I'm a professional mixed martial arts fighter. And right now what I'm about to do is issue a warning out to all other competitors.
I don't want overs. I just expect them to happen.
Fatty's gonna fatty is real.
He is terrible!
We gotta know how many wieners are going down these dudes' throats.
Why don't we go quick, because I don't give a fuck about anything that's gonna happen on Saturday.
Hello, boys! I know we missed a week, but we are back. The MMA Analysis Podcast, episode, let's call it 374. We are one Canadian short this week. We got Nushan, who's, I think, on the west coast of Canada. You never know with him. He's a transatlantic king north of the border. And, of course, we got the Kentucky Sodsman, Wes Colvin. I'll start with Wes. What's going on? College basketball's over. Horse racing season's upon us. You must be getting excited.
I tell you what, man. It took me a few days. I had to almost go into should have took a plane to fucking Budapest or something and just got away.
How about Calcutta?
I had to mourn, man. There's few things I take harder in this world that it sounds fucking stupid, man, but we live and die with our basketball around here, man. But yeah, hard loss, man. But always around this time of the year, man. Win or lose, you go right into Derby season, man. And it's probably the craziest 2 weeks in the city. My birthday falls right in between, so yeah, next 2 weeks is pretty damn fun around here. I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Nushan, so west coast of Canada? Where are you?
I'm damn near. So you know how Alaska dips down?
Oh Jesus! You're like, when he mentioned Alaska, I was like, oh, here.
Yeah, I'm out in British Columbia, up about midway, a little bit higher than that, but yeah, basically on the ocean. And who knew that Alaska dips down and gets that low? But
you just get a globe and you just like spin it and like you put your finger on it, like just of Canada though. Like imagine if Canada was a globe and you just put your finger and that's like where you are this week. Is that how this works?
Pretty much. My work takes me all over. I'm a traveling man. What can I say? I definitely would much rather be at home. This is the time of year where I have 2-3 TVs set up and a couple laptops because the hockey playoffs have started. Of course, my team's not in it, but that's not anything new. It's happened 11 times in the last 12 years, so that's par for the course. But I do enjoy all the games that are happening, and tonight there's 5 games on. So yeah, normally I'd have a couple TVs set up, a couple laptops, and just would be glued. But I got to stick to one, unfortunately, in a hotel room.
Sean, actually, I restarted. On the ESPN Plus, restarted the 30 for 30s over from the beginning.
Yeah,
that's good. Yeah.
The first one is the Gretzky one. The Kings.
That was the first one.
Yeah, that was the first 30 for 30 done by God damn it, what's his name? The director Peter Berg.
Oh,
actually
yeah, Peter Berg. Yeah.
Did the first 30 for 30, man. It's pretty wild to see how that whole thing kind of happened.
That was on the Gretzky trade, correct?
Yeah, when they traded him to the Kings and shit.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, sold him for some money, and the owner of the team back then, and they interviewed him talking about how he still gets death threats and shit about that and stuff.
As he should.
It just completely changed the city, man. For the next 2 decades, the city was completely different. Pretty wild story, man. Dude meant a lot to like a kind of a smaller city at the time and stuff. Yeah, the dude completely changed an entire city.
That's what happens when you win 4 Stanley Cups in like
you're the
6
greatest
years.
player to ever. Yeah, the greatest player to ever play your sport too. Yeah, it's pretty insane, man. It's a good 30 for 30.
They're damn near all are good.
Yeah, they're all.
There's so many sports docs now. It's like I can't keep up with all that. I think I saw the first 2 seasons of their shows, and then
they're all on ESPN Plus. You can
That's
watch
right.
all
But the other channels like Showtime has a lot of good sports docs. HBO's done a bunch. You can find stuff all over the place. Yeah, there's a lot of. And now it seems like the music. That seems to be like the next industry where they're starting to make a lot of documentaries about different, murders and stuff behind the scenes, like that kind of.
The true crime story shit now is
it's wild.
Which it's always been big. Like Dateline's done 5,000 episodes or whatever.
It's crazy, and people love that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they have the same cop mystery murder shows on regular television that they've been producing for 50 years. Yeah. Motherfuckers still watching.
How long? Law and Order is still doing its thing. I know, it's crazy. It really is. But there's a lot going on in the MMA world, so I don't even know where we start. I mean, there's been a lot of bizarro things that have happened, or just bad news. What is... Yeah, I mean, where do you want to start? Should we start with TJ Dillashaw, not competing ever again? I mean, that's kind of what it's looking like. Here we go.
Come on. He'll fight.
He'll be 30.
You think he's going to whistle blow on everyone at Alpha?
No, 35.
35, yeah, and he'll fight again. I like what Capoza, he tweeted out after. He's like, oh, TJ Pop, he'll never fight again. His career's completely over. Matter of fact, this weekend, Chael Sonnen is headlining a title fight in Madison Square Garden. You know what I'm saying? The dude's gonna fight again. I mean, honestly, who knows if he's ever the same? I get it, man. You gotta punish the dude and shit. He's gotta be suspended. EPO's, that's high up there, man. That's just blatant. But I'm over the white knighting about PEDs and shit. Most of these dudes are on PEDs. I was talking to somebody, man, I might even change my stance a little bit on it if the testing and the penalties weren't so absolutely corrupt. You know what I'm saying? The dude that runs the shit is in the pocket of the UFC and shit. Guys like John Jones and shit walk. Brock Lesnar's tests disappear and shit. That's all bullshit, man. Yeah, it's all bullshit. Yeah, but it's crooked as shit. Guys get off. How many tests are guys getting done that they're just not even reporting and shit? Some fighters that you can be like, man, there's no way they're on steroids and shit. You should test them, but they're getting tested 20-something times. Other guys are getting tested once. I mean, it's all bullshit, man. The USADA is completely corrupt. I get it. He got popped for EPO. He's got to be disciplined for it. But I mean, the people his whole career's tarnished and all this. How many people do you think he was competing against that were on shit too? Most fighters, anytime the rest, they say 75 to 80% of guys are on fucking something. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody but Dominic?
And then, I will give Dom this. I'll give Dom this. All those injuries that he's had, I would probably say he hasn't been on anything. Because most guys that fight and train like they do get injured like Dominic Cruz does. How many guys that are going through this for years and years and years without any injuries or anything? That pretty much answers your question. Guys like Dom break down and shit. Probably not on anything. But people saying it running his legacy and all this and that's just absolute bullshit to me, man. All these guys, I won't say all guys, but most of these guys are on something. Then especially for Gallbrand to come out saying the shit he is, and everybody's clapping, saying, "Oh yeah, you're right, Cody. Everybody you fought was on stuff," and then it's they dropped the interview he did just a couple years ago, the press conference. Him slipped up and said, "Yeah, TJ showed us all at Team Alpha Male how to use EPO." It's on tape. The dude slipped up and said it. Get the fuck out of here. You don't think that whole gym wasn't on fucking something? Little 135-pound guys running around with fucking calves like Arnold Schwarzenegger and shit. Shut up, man. All those motherfuckers.
Clearly, some people are. I mean, Chad Mendes is basically forced out of the sport because of it.
Chad Mendes, TJ Dillashaw. You don't think that gym wasn't on something? And you know why they weren't getting caught and shit?
Because allowing it?
because Faber has all kinds of fame and money. That was my whole point. Like, when you get, if you wanted, like, you want it all by the book, everybody tests the same, everything released, all the same tests for everything, there's still going to be the guys that have the most money that are always going to be able to find the shit to get around the test. Mm-hmm. So all you're going to do is end up just catching all the poor guys that can't get the good shit. That's all that's going to happen. These guys have been doing this shit. It's been going on in sports for fucking 50 years. Dudes have been shooting shit up, and they've been around these tests for years and years and years. It's going to continue to happen. I can't get up in arms about it anymore, man. It's dudes fucking trying to take each other's heads off in a cage, man. Like, I think there's just so much hypocritical bullshit in it, dude. People get mad about it with one guy, then the next guy, they're just like, oh, yeah, he got caught. It's just, people hate TJ Dillashaw. They're roasting him yesterday and today. I just think I don't care no more. Really don't.
Wow. I don't think I have anything to say after that.
Yeah, I mean, it's stupid. We should just go back to what it was before. Basically, an IQ test, piss clean on fight day, and who gives a fuck every other time. Yeah, it's just stupid. EPO is an interesting one because you can basically do what EPO does if you just, train it, climb it. Or
wasn't that the shit the Olympic athletes were on from, like, Russia? Weren't they on EPO?
Lance was using EPO, but
that's a cycling drug. It's all about, like, cardio and stuff like that.
They use a lot of other stuff with it, though, too.
Yep.
And it's like, usually not by itself it's going to do your desired thing. It helps in a cocktail of shit. I mean, I never put it past TJ Dillashaw that he wasn't trying to get every advantage that he could. He looks like an absolute, like, didn't TJ to you seem like an absolute maniac that would do whatever it took to win? It did to me. Most of those guys at Team Alpha Male did to me. Like, they all seemed like they were crazy training maniacs that you never questioned them not being prepared and shit. I think any of them would have done anything to win. I think Uriah Faber was probably a big proponent of everything that went on in that gym. Dude had a lot of money.
I just really don't care. And like Wes said, I mean, you're going to say, oh, well, that ruined his legacy, and then I'm sure it's going to come out in a couple of years that a bunch of guys that he fought or whoever is going to have started. Like, that's the funny thing when, like, you go back and you look at, like, Ben Johnson running the 100-meter dash, and people just absolutely fucking trashed him. And then the test comes out later, and every single one of those guys was dirty. So, like, who cares? They're all dirty.
But no one talks about Ben Johnson as an all-time great, Sean.
He was.
They do about Carl Lewis, though.
Yeah, even though that guy was dirty as fuck too.
They all are.
They're all dirty.
I'm just saying.
No, I know, and I can just not care. I fucking hate USADA. They're an absolute crooked company, and it's just kind of pointless. We're losing good fights and good fighters because of this bullshit that the UFC had to go into for one reason or another. It is what it is.
I think UFC went into it because they thought they needed to make it a clean sport for for the TV deal. To be honest with you,
I think that's just so stupid because I mean,
I'm not saying it's smart.
I know, but there's so many other sports that, I mean, at least they have a players' union, and basically you can get away with stuff. It's an IQ test in those sports, but because there's no union in MMA, then you're kind of fucked. So you just have to deal with it. But
you have a guy like John Jones that's going to bring that company money that gets a pulsing picogram bullshit excuse. You have a guy like BJ Dillashaw that literally can't sell 100,000 pay-per-views, and they throw the book at him. That's the problem. And if Sean's exactly right, if fighters were unionized, they would be able to fight for fair treatment and fair penalties for all this stuff, fair testing like they have in other sports when you can be like, yeah, they got the same treatment as every other player would, That's not how it is in fight. That whole program is just crooked. Like, literally, the guy running the program is an employee of the USC as well. Like, how the fuck is that even, like, legal? They should take that up in court. Like, I don't see how that would even play in court. I got suspended for anything like that, I'd be fighting like a motherfucker.
So, well, Nowitzki actually isn't paid by USADA. Like, he's basically works for the UFC just to explain things. He really doesn't have anything to do with the USADA anymore. But
he did.
Yeah, he did at one point. So, but that dude's a fucking scumbag. So.
Yeah, we see the fucking why he's employed by the UFC now. Yeah. He's the inside man.
He greases the wheels there.
Yeah, he comes out and explains that John Jones is pulsing picograms of shit from 2 years ago, but TJ Dillashaw is guilty as fuck, and you got to suspend him for 2 years.
And there's like so much junk science when it comes to performance enhancing drugs as well. It's just stupid. Like it's a shittier sport. Honestly, it is a shittier sport. You got more guys getting injured. You got more guys not fighting because they're getting caught, whether they were purposely doing shit or they were just taking shitty supplements, because that for sure is a thing, regardless if some guys are using it to their advantage or not. It's bad for the sport. You can talk about brain injuries and stuff like that. It's mixed martial arts. It doesn't really. I don't think it makes that big of a difference.
Look, seriously, like Overeem juiced up and knocking you out in 2 blows of Overeem not juiced up and knocking you out in 10. I mean, what's really worse here?
It might be better to get switched off sooner. At least you only get hit once instead of 10 times. Those repeated head blows is worse for you than the single concussion. But that's another story for another day. Yeah, we should talk about some much more. Some much better and funner news when it comes to Justin Gaethje being an absolute.
You want to talk about that, or you want to talk about the video of you want to talk about the video of McNutty breaking the kid's phone?
Oh, McNutty just can't get out of his own way.
McTweaker, fucking McTweaker now.
Yep, that cocaine will get you angry when people taking pictures of you when you're high on cocaine.
I mean, he's under investigation this week. They came out a bar fight and fucking.
How does not stay out of the news?
He's I think it actually the report did come out of him with the being investigated for rape. I mean, this guy just ain't even like a crazy star with fame and money, just out partying doing some dumb shit. Like, he's committing felonies and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, the shit with the guy's phone was a felony. Like, they offered him some lesser charges and shit, and he pleaded not guilty like today or yesterday. That's why that video came out. That was part of the evidence. That's a felony. Like, taking his phone from him, that's like some kind of I can't remember how they describe the law now, but it's taking somebody's way of communication and shit. Like, it comes down as a felony. Not just to mention, it's just a fucking douchebag move. You know, like, you're famous. People are always going to be trying to take pictures and shit with you.
Can we still get odds of McNutty getting arrested again? I feel that's like that's an auto bet.
That's going to be like the dude that bet on Tiger not winning all 4 majors this year, like right. 10,000 to win $1. You know, I mean. McNutty is gonna have a sad ending, dude. Like, it's gonna happen. That dude's gonna have a sad ending.
Speaking of other sad endings, you guys read that article that came out today about BJ Penn? Oh man. This is starting to become a real issue.
Wes, you tweeted it best. All your favorite fighters have probably done steroids, and a lot of your favorite fighters are pieces of shit.
Yeah,
this is not good.
Don't have heroes in fighting. Like, that's just something you should never do again. Don't look up to none of these dudes because they're all shitbags, man.
Oh, Max was all right.
For now.
You never know, man. Yeah,
that's a valid point. You never know.
We all thought Tony Ferguson was just this so cool, crazy stoner dude, and then he's fucking...
He legit crazy.
I think there's very little doubt he's a schizophrenic. I mean, that stuff is just wild.
Something going on there.
That shit was
way worse than that, I think.
That's bad stuff, man. Like, just like him and Matt Hughes all in like a month. Like that, and the stuff is like really, really bad. Man, I go back. I think we talked about it on the show not long ago when that Ferguson stuff came out. Man, I just remember fucking Junior Seau. Man, I mean, you never know with these guys once they start getting that CTE, man, and it's real. Some of these guys lose their fucking minds, man. We've seen it. I worry about guys like BJ and Matt with this. They're not in any way condoning any of the shit that they did, like, because BJ's apparently been doing this shit for a long time. It's just bad, man. And people was worried about steroids and shit in this sport. Like, this isn't a fucking sport, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is human cockfighting.
But this is the type of stuff that eventually, I mean, I don't mean to sound like the bringer of bad news, but I mean, is this shit really going to be around the rest of our lifetimes? Like this entity, like, do we really believe that? I mean, I hope to live for another 50 years or so. I don't think it's going to. I don't know if we're going to be having this sport. Like you said, you want to call it sport 50 years.
I think there's a chance we don't see the same form of football in the future that we see today. So there's sure as hell a chance that we don't see cage fighting in the future.
Well, what I certainly know is why is this bare knuckle boxing thing becoming a thing? Because that seems like the first thing that's going to go. I mean, that seems like a really bad idea. Oh my God! And all these, and then you got former MMA fighters who can't cut it in the UFC doing that. Oh man,
dude! I mean,
they're ruining it for everybody, but there's stupidity.
There's shit far worse going on that every weekend on fairgrounds lots and shit, dude.
I know.
But
these guys are trained to fight, Wes. That's the thing. It's a little different.
I mean, they're getting paid. They're getting paid decent money to do it. They want to do it. I mean, I don't see the problem.
Maybe.
I mean, really, I don't know how much worse it is. They are getting more cut up. That's the difference. Those gloves, MMA gloves protect a lot of just cuts to the face and stuff like that, which when you go with just wrapping your hands, your knuckles cut up people's faces. It's really the only difference. I think it looks worse, but I don't know if it is any worse. It just, you got a lot of cuts and a lot of blood.
No, it's not worse, and they've talked about that in the past. As far as it's just cuts, it's not as far as damage, because with a padded glove on, your hand can take more.
That's right. Your hands, you're not going to break your hands as much.
But then you can't hit the guy again repeatedly that hard again. You know what I'm saying? So like seriously, with no gloves, you're literally going to dole out less like internal damage. You're going to cut a guy up more. That's I get it. It's just, it's more the side of it. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I watch these guys even now, like, when ESPN, when SportsCenter comes on some of these UFC cards and those 1-2-0 dudes, the LA SportsCenter are like, just like having to do replays and shit of it. They're disgusted. Like they're literally disgusted at what they're watching. Like some of these sports guys, man, you're never gonna get them with that shit. People don't realize it's a small audience, man, compared to other sports that watch this shit, man. Some people just can't get it. I get it. We're sitting there talking about all the reasons why you shouldn't be watching this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of them, man. I get it. There's an absolute chance that, I mean, there's people from my generation that started watching way back when that don't watch it now. That it just got to the point that they can't. It's not even about like the personalities and shit anymore and stuff. It's almost like fucking. It's UFC Create a Fighter on Saturday night. It's two bald-headed white guys, same dude. It's 7 fights of the same two dudes. I mean, there's just a lot of reasons, and we're talking about a lot of them. Why, man?
The one thing I'll say,
we're the ones with the problems, dude.
The one thing I'll say is that this culture that we have now of that there's a lot of organizations, and not just in this sport, but that want they use these names of people from the past to promote something new. I mean, there's a lot of organizations that exist even. I mean, I get it. There's demand. There are people that want to live in nostalgia, whether it's the senior tour in golf or the Legends, the Legends tour in tennis, and now you have
Bellator.
things like the right or ice cubes 3-on-3 basketball. Like, I get why those things exist. There's a nostalgia factor. People want to see their guys they watched from 15 years ago in their heyday when they were younger, and now they relate more with that than the current athlete. But you can't be doing that with fighting. It just doesn't. It's just the health risks and these things that we've been talking about with head injuries and what CTE ultimately really is, and other potential brain damage issues. Whether it's speech or just clearly changing your mental. Just the way you think. It's a frightening thing, and it's just unacceptable. I mean, Bellator is one of the worst proponents of it. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, it disgusts me that folks like Dada and Kimbo and Hoist Gracie and Shamrock and guys like that have still been able to fight even at 50 years of age or near that. I'm sorry. I mean, it should practically be illegal.
It's supposed to be.
That's what the athletic commissions are for, and they are doing their fucking jobs.
Yep. They're actually supposed to pass medical tests and shit before they're even allowed in there.
Yeah, fuck it.
Apparently. Yep. Quickly, some other things. So, Eddie Alvarez went to 1, and he lost 2, didn't he?
He did.
Man, there really is like a thing of, you're in your heyday in the UFC, you're doing really well, you leave, and then you're like nothing.
Well, this happened last time. The same thing happened when he came from Bellator. Lost his first fight in the UFC.
That's right. He did.
The guy he fought and won was like a legit dude that nobody had ever heard of. Yeah, he's a good fucking guy with knockout fucking power, and he caught Eddie. People thought he was going over and just getting cakewalks. Like, the division Eddie's fighting in over is good. The one DJ's fighting in, not so much. He'll just maul everybody in that.
Well, except for one guy.
Yeah. There's
yeah. Let's not forget about the one guy.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like Eddie was going over as some like perfect fighter. He gets rocked. I mean, he can get rocked by anybody. So I wasn't as surprised. I definitely just slept on that one and didn't put any money on what is it? Timothy? Is that his name?
Yep.
Timothy Mozgov.
I was thinking about putting something on Eddie in a parlay, and I'm glad I did because the line dropped. Like, some money came in on a boy. I saw people saying it was he threw the fight and all this. I'm just Eddie Alvarez throwing a fight. Come on.
But yeah, it was a crazy time to wake up and see that shit. But
and I still want to invest in Bleacher Report. I'm sorry.
Ugh. It was free though.
There's just so many. I know.
Oh no, I guess not in America. Yeah, not in America.
No, it's not. And there's just so many services out there. I mean,
free on TNT. Like,
oh, do they?
Yeah, they're doing that with all the one cards now.
Yeah, they do a delayed, like they do
like 10 hours later.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the next Sunday afternoon, I believe. Like it was almost like a day and a half because it came on so early or something like that. But like a day and a half later or something. Yeah.
Fine. And then the last thing, I mean, I think we're not going to talk about this whole card, but I think we should talk about this fight. My man, Justin Gaethje. Again.
Ooh.
Mr. Saturday Night.
Yeah. Rock and roll. First round knockout.
Goes leg kick for leg kick while it lasted with Barboza. and then just ran Barboza over.
I think
impressive.
He got the better of the leg kicks. I think he got the better of the leg kicks.
Yep.
He did. he absolutely did. Yeah, I will say I was on Barboza in this fight, and I've been on Gaethje in a lot of fights. I think the only one I didn't bet on him, I won. I think it was the Poirier fight. That's just because I'm a Poirier mark. But man, this was impressive, man, and Gaethje's moved way up on my gotta watch that fucking guy fight list. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously,
he's number one.
He's number one.
Yeah, I mean,
for action.
Oh no, there's a couple other guys, just a couple. I don't know off the top of my head, but he's right there, and dude, he's literally never probably had a boring round in his entire career. Forget a fight, a boring round. That dude brings it like few guys I've ever seen. It's absolutely madness that the dude he's one of the most high level wrestlers in the sport, and the dude literally has never used it. He doesn't give a shit. Yeah, that guy's awesome. I don't know, I guess I was a little surprised, but Barboza's kind of hidden that not a little suspect chin and the beatings that he's taken pre a couple fights before this one. I think he's kind of hidden that a little well, and it showed up, man. It's been. I don't think we've seen Barboza pretty much slicked out that bad. I mean,
like
he laid Barboza completely out, and that was a little shocking to me. But then again, not, because it's Gaethje, and man, all props to that guy. That guy's fucking awesome, man. If you're not a Gaethje fan, then you don't love this stuff. It's not for you, man, because he's fucking awesome.
He's the first fighter in the history of the UFC to get a fight night bonus in his first 5 UFC fights. He's the only one.
And he's got multiple ones too. Like
when they did those, they don't do them. Yeah. They don't do that a lot nowadays, but yeah, he does.
He's gotten multiples in the same night a couple times, I think. Yeah,
the Michael Johnson one is done. Yes.
But yeah, like Gaethje, obviously, there's different things. Like watching a John Jones fight, like a GSP fight, a Conor fight. Those are like special events where you kind of have to watch. Gaethje is one that you can guarantee. You can just tell your buddy, even if he doesn't watch, just watch this one guy, because without a doubt, it's going to be a crazy fight. Whether he wins, whether he loses, it's going to be insane. And there is few, if not anybody else, that you can guarantee they're going to be a great fight. There's guys that are action fighters that have fun fights, and they'll still lay an egg every once in a while. That does not happen with Justin Gaethje.
It's a pretty incredible statement.
It's insane. But
it's true.
It's true. It's insane, but it's true.
I said it.
You remember his fights with Luis Palomino and World Series of Fighting?
Kicks, man.
There's like spinning kicks and just flip kicks. Oh man, those were great.
Thunder and
oh yeah.
I say that about any fighter, like, to go that long, that many fights, and be able to say that the dude hasn't had a boring round in his career. That's hard to fucking say about anybody.
Yep. I really do want to see him fight Khabib. I know he's lost a couple.
I'd really like to see him face Tony Ferguson if Ferguson doesn't have schizophrenia.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
I would go to that fight. I don't care where it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's a wild fight. There's really nobody for Khabib right now. Other than I know Gaethje has losses, but that matchup is extremely intriguing to me, to see if Khabib can take him down.
I have a feeling it'll never happen.
I know. That's the sad part, is because Gaethje lost twice, it probably won't happen. But
he will take Gaethje down. He will smash on him. That's why I don't want to see that fight.
Fuck that.
I think
Gaethje beats him. I would bet
think Khabib will
Gaethje
be
there.
retired by the time that fight
I
happens.
think that's
if I
the
tell you
one
that.
guy. That's the one guy that could give Gaethje just all kinds of problems, man. Just all kinds. I think Khabib's like the best lightweight, maybe
That's
ever.
Do you know how good that guy's wrestling is? You never
I
see
know.
it, so you don't know. But like,
You know how good Khabib's wrestling is?
I understand that, and I understand that.
just-
But there have been people that have stuffed Khabib's takedowns. It has happened before. If you stuff if Gaethje stuffs one or two, and that's on the feet, do you know what that would be insane?
I just think Gaethje pressures way too much and comes in way too much to not be taken down by that guy eventually. And when it does, man, I don't know. It's interesting.
He could get up.
give it
I don't know, man. I would not sell.
Look,
Gaethje
it would be
short on that one.
something. I don't see it happening because, one, I don't think they'll schedule it.
Yeah.
Two, I think Khabib will be retired by the time it even potentially will happen. So, I don't think Khabib's going to fight much longer. I got to be honest with you. Maybe 2 fights.
Yeah, that sounds about right, which is unfortunate.
It is. And really not much else to talk about. I mean, it was an okay card, but yeah,
Josh-
we don't need to go.
Josh
Although
Emmett with the
Ross,
Hail Mary fucking...
Ross Pearson did
I
retire.
want to go. Yeah, let me just say, fuck Paul Craig. Like that
Again!
Again!
he might be the worst fucking fighter on the roster
With 2 wins. Two
with
finishes.
dude. Like, get the fuck out of. How does a dude? I don't know, man. The guy he fought though, that dude's a total mook. Like to
He
get
is
that,
a mook.
Kenny Nunchucks is mookie as fuck.
Terrible.
he's not smart. Nah.
He's terrible.
And I will say, where was this again? Philly. Don't ever go back to Philly. Don't ever fucking take the UFC back to Philly. That seriously had some of the worst fucking. And that's saying something.
getting robbed.
That had
was
some of
terrible.
the worst fucking judging that I can remember. And it wasn't just like some guys. There's like some cards are just so far out there that it was like, what? Did they mix the cards up or something?
Well, they didn't
Like,
add him up right. There was a Kevin Holland somehow won, even though Meerkat just laid on him the whole time, and Holland didn't do anything. And the one judge couldn't even add up his fucking score. It can't add up to 28. Jesus Christ!
That was one of my. That was something. That was one of those fights that I feel like there's one fight a month where I just yell at where I literally yell at the TV screen and I say, "What are you doing?"
Yep.
Like it's so obvious that you don't have to have any training whatsoever to realize that. Like, this guy mentally, it's just, like, whatever you're doing, it's not the correct strategy. Like, Kevin Holland easily could have stood with him and, like, kept trying to get him, like, going to the... It was just weird. It was like, he clearly could have knocked out Meerkat. Clearly. No, but you want to play around on the ground like a moron. It never made sense. I don't get it. Like, sometimes you got to wonder about some of these guys. Like, do you not listen to your corner? Like, what are you doing? Yeah.
They're
not smart humans. I mean, I get it.
I will say the last thing, Michael Johnson winning that entire fight and then
there's another one
getting knocked out slick.
Clean.
Like, how many times is that gonna happen to that guy? But I got the good fucking when the edibles hit fucking video this time. Fucking Josh Emmett retweeted that shit, dude.
Did he really?
Yeah. How stone cold is that, dude? Because that's a bad one. That's literally him, Johnson, getting like laid out, dude. And Emmett retweeted
Speaking
that shit.
He's an alpha male guy.
Alpha male finally got a
He
win.
went alpha male, and seemed like certain things started to happen for him there. Just saying.
Shit, that motherfucker's on the EPPO. I'm telling you, like,
Might be.
seriously.
You don't like to start rumors, but yeah.
Nah, we don't do that around here.
Doc acting's a specialty of ours, so.
Well, should we get in this double interim title fight card?
I'm not sure what I think about Atlanta hosting an event like this, but
Ben got a retweet yet?
a what?
Has Ben got a retweet yet?
He got
Uh,
one.
is it
He got
still-
one, and then he deleted the fucking tweet.
Ben, come on, dude. Come on this show and reveal yourself, dude. There's no way you're a real person.
He
There's
can't
no
be.
fucking way.
He cannot be.
I mean, somebody's writing, but This can't be a real fighter. I have. Oh, this first fight. Okay, so UFC 236 in Atlanta, April 13th. Two title fight card at the top. The first fight is Brandon Davis. He's got a couple fights in the UFC facing, and I can't believe this is a real person.
He's no Paulo.
Have you seen what his nickname is? Randy the Zohan Costa.
That's a little bit better than his Sherdog nickname, which is the 1%er.
Oh,
no, it's not.
Oh no, sorry, that's the guy that he fought. Never mind. Fucking, that's the guy he
sorry,
beat.
anybody who goes to Bridgewater State University is not a 1%er. Or something called Full Send University. That's not a real place. He's at Lausanne he fights at Lausanne MMA. Again, the 1%ers are not fighting with Joe Lausanne. I mean, that's not a good idea. I don't know what I think about this. I really don't have an opinion, but I'll let you guys talk if you got an opinion on this. Wes,
you got anything?
No, I mean, I don't know. I probably got to pick Brandon Davis in this fight, but there's no way on planet Earth I'm laying minus 170 on Brandon fucking Davis. This fucking shitty Costa.
Do we know if he's shitty or not?
I mean, who knows anything about him? He's beaten up on like absolute
cans.
There's nobody.
He's fought. Okay, he's fought 4 times.
Yeah, and the guy he fought to get into the UFC was 0-1. The guy before that was 5-9. The guy before that was 0-1. So he's fought 2 0-1 fighters.
And the guy before that was
5.
So he's fought 3 guys, and 3 of his 4 wins were against guys who didn't have a professional win at that point.
Combined, he's fought 3 of his wins go against guys that are combined 0-7.
That's as bad as it gets.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, you got to pick Davis, but
yes.
What are they doing, man? Like, was this a last minute? I can't remember. Is this a last minute thing? The UFC seems to have like a hard on for these undefeated fighters, even though these undefeated fighters are absolute can crushers. There's a shit ton of them. There's one later on in this card we'll talk about too.
I really don't know. I don't see anything in the notes that suggests that there's a different fight, honestly. I mean, the only thing I can think of is like that Dana's Boston guy, Lausanne's a Massachusetts guy,
giving his guy
giving his guy some love.
But he has
only thing. Why is this guy not on the Contender Series fights 2 months from now? Just put him there and let him prove his worth. Why is he fighting now? Like, or you can just make a 12-fight card. It makes no sense. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
New Sean, I guess you'll take Brandon Davis as
I'll take Brandon Davis. I have not seen anything from this Costa guy, but he's an absolute can crusher, so who knows?
I mean, Davis beat Steven Peterson, who was fairly good in LFA. He lost the decision to Bochniak, which was fairly close. I mean, at least he's fought guys with experience and has a couple wins. Randy Costa, or whatever, Randy has faced nobody. You don't get to see video here. You don't. I mean, could Randy win? I guess. But what are we looking at here? I mean, this. I don't get it. I mean, this is prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Next fight up, this doesn't get much better. It makes you wonder. It says UFC Fight Pass here, so maybe we have to watch Fight Pass for the pay-per-view prelim card. Ooh, maybe they're not simulcast.
No, it's simulcast on ESPN Plus. That was one of the things that just came out. And they also talked about like if you order the pay-per-view through ESPN Plus, you can watch the replay for I think 7 days or something, and then it won't be on Fight Pass for like a month or something. I forget what the exact numbers were, but that was a couple of things that came out.
All right. Poliana Botello taking on Lauren Mueller. Wes, any thoughts here?
Mueller. Man, man, I really don't know about this one. I might look at a little bit more just to make my pick in Toutmaster, man, but I don't really give two shits about this fight.
New Sean.
That goes the distance / over 2.5. It's fucking tempting, man. I haven't played it yet. The over 2.5 is only -185. And I know these chicks got some finishes, but I don't know. I don't care.
She fights in Nova now, which meant a lot more a few years ago than it means now.
Nobody's there anymore.
It's sad times. One thing I'll say is, I don't know if it's a recent trend, but it's something I've noticed is that favored Brazilian fighters coming to the United States to face an American, not a good betting angle. It's happened quite a bit. Newcomers or people, or just Brazilian fighters with a bit of, look good on the regional scene, or just, one had a decent win or in the UFC, or, had a win in the UFC, and then there's a bloated line, and either they, just don't come in. They come in out of shape. Like the weather's different. It's a long flight. Whatever it is. Yeah. I'm going to take Mueller here. I don't think she's great either, for sure, but she's certainly capable of winning this fight, and doing so as a plus 150 underdog. Now it seems like the fight card gets a little better. We got good old Montel Jackson taking on one of our favorites, Andre Subkantai.
Get it?
Yeah.
This mainly I think because of the line, mostly, man. This I don't know about this here, man. I like Montel Jackson. I think he's a pretty decent young fighter. His last win was pretty impressive over Kelleher, but I think we probably a little overrated Kelleher. I think I like him as a fighter as well, but I think we kind of hyped him up quite a bit. Man, I think Jackson should probably win this fight, but man, should he be -500 here? I don't think Subkantai is great or anything, but I mean, he's a tough out, man. He's going to give you an honest scrap, and Jackson missed weight last time. This is a hard weight cut for him, so if Subkantai can take this into deep waters, man, I think it might be able to get a little interesting. So, man, I'm probably going to take a stab on just a plus 400 here. A lot of money is coming on Jackson this week, so maybe it goes a little further. But I'm happy with the plus 400 because it's just going to be a little stab. But yeah, I'm going to take our boy Subkantai. I'm going to pick him in Toutmaster for sure, and probably take a little stab on that plus 400.
All right, new Sean.
Yeah, this is a big line for a guy that has definitely shown some issues in his game. I know he's still decently young, so you kind of assume that he's going to continue improving and stuff like that. Definitely haven't been a fan of Subkantai myself. I don't think he's great, but yeah, that's a big line. If you're not ballsy enough to take the plus 400, maybe look at fight goes to decision. Subkantai has never been finished. I know Montel Jackson has a lot of them, so maybe he can just stay in there and it's going to be a close fight and it ends up being a decision. You can kind of cover maybe your stab at plus 400 with some goes to decision. I'll pick Montel Jackson to win. I think he is the better fighter. That number is pretty crazy though.
Yeah, I got Subkantai a D plus and Jackson a C. The difference between these fighters is that Jackson just possesses a lot more tools. Subkantai is really just a stand-up striker, and Jackson can do quite a bit more, way more well-rounded, longer as well. He's a deserving favorite. I mean, he's still relatively inexperienced at this level, so I would agree that 5-1 is a bit steep, and I'd stay away from it from that, but I really don't. There's very few scenarios I see where he loses this fight. I do think he wins, and he should win so pretty decisively, whether it's on the ground or just, kind of combos things on the feet. Preliminary fight pass prelim. This one's pretty intriguing and one of the closer lines on the card. We got Curtis Millender and Bilal Muhammad. I forget Bilal Muhammad's nickname, but I remember it's pretty terrible.
Remember the name.
Oh, sorry. No wonder why I don't remember.
You gotta remember the name, Jay.
I mean, does that work after you get decisions badly by Jeff Neal?
Oh. What you got for us, Wes?
Yeah, this fight, I don't know. It's kind of perplexing to me. I think it could go a couple different ways. I would probably be a little more inclined to bet on Bilal here if he was the underdog like he usually is. But man, I just think if this fight stays on the feet, man, he might be in a little bit of trouble against Millender. I think Millender's better up there. He's longer, just a stronger, younger guy at this point, but. Man, I know y'all talked about it before the show, and Bilal goes for takedowns in fights, man. And we've seen Millender's takedown defense. To me, it seems like Bilal doesn't get a lot of takedowns, and he ends up in a lot of fucking just boxing matches. And I think he's in a little bit of trouble here boxing with the bigger guy here. So, I think it could go one of two ways, and I'm just not really sure which way it's going to be. I'll lean toward Bilal being able to get a couple of takedowns in this fight, and we've seen Millender on his back, man. And so that's the way I'm leaning. If the line comes down a little bit, I might take a little shot on Bilal here, but as of right now, he's just a pick, no bet.
All right, Nushan.
This one was a tough one for me. I can kind of see this going two ways, like Wes mentioned. If Muhammad can get the takedowns, we're gonna see the fish that is Curtis Millender. He has terrible takedown defense, and his get-up game is pretty piss poor. He uses basically his strength, no real technique there. Bilal Muhammad does go for a lot of takedowns. He doesn't get them as often as he should. I don't know. He doesn't really have a wrestling background, so maybe he's doing all right considering. But he went 0 for 7 against Jeff Neal. He did go 3 for 4 against Chance Renkoutri, wherever the hell you want to say it. 2 for 5 against Randy Brown. So he is going for stuff. Just not that successful. If Millender can stuff that, I think he will definitely have success. He's a very powerful striker. It's just that takedown defense and that ground game is terrible. I kind of wanted to play Bilal Muhammad by decision, but it was actually a lot lower than what I wanted. It's sitting right now. It's sitting at what the hell is it? By decision, plus 165. Like, that is not big enough for me to take. I thought maybe I could get it in the plus 200 range, but no go. I think if you do take, if you want to take Millender, you should probably take him by TKO. That's a decent sized number. It's at plus 390. If it kind of goes his way, I think he can finish Bilal Muhammad. He is a tough guy. He's only been finished by one guy really in Luque, but he is getting beat up a bit lately, so we could definitely see a guy going down. But for right now, I'll just I'll pick Bilal Muhammad to win a decision, but no bet.
Okay, I got both these guys a C-. This should be a pretty competitive fight. Offensively, actually, Muhammad's lands a little more on the feet. 4.57 significant strikes versus 4.04. Millender definitely absorbs less. I think length just creates difficulty for opponents to hit him. Millender's got a 4-inch advantage as well. I think that certainly plays into his hands. I've seen Muhammad struggle against rangier fighters. That seems to be kind of where he has his struggles. That happened. He lost that Timmy fight. I know they say he won, but he did. Technicals have really given him issue, and I think that plays into his hands. I think Millender, shouldn't have too much ability defending Muhammad's takedowns, honestly, because as Nushan kind of laid out, he doesn't have a great amount of success landing them, and I think that'll be enough for Millender to probably win a decision. Muhammad has been beat up in in a bunch of fights, especially his last one against Jeff Neal. That was, in my opinion, that was probably the most damage he's taken in his career. And you have to wonder just if he'll be the same exact fighter. Will he be the same fighter that he was after that kind of a beating? We'll see.
He's getting older too. He's getting some miles on the tires for sure.
In the tooth.
He's not that old, but he is getting a little bit in the tooth.
His fight style. His fight style.
Yeah, exactly. Next up, onto the TV portion of the card, we got Khalid Taha taking on one of the funnier names in MMA, Mr. Salmon, Boston Salmon.
Nickname Rainbow Trout.
There should be.
And I really don't know much about this fight yet. This one I haven't really looked at too closely, man. I seriously, as of right now, I have no idea who I'm picking in this fight. The lean is towards the fish right now, but we'll see. I need to look at this more before I even give out anything, man.
Any thoughts?
Not really. I know Boston Salmon got a bit of hype it was a tiny bit of hype off the Contender Series, but then he's just had canceled fights after canceled fights. Not all of them his fault. One of them was his fault, but I have no clue. He's been out for 2 years. The other guy, don't know much about him either. I'll just sit back and watch. I guess I'll pick Boston Salmon.
Again, European fighter coming from overseas, fighting in the U.S. for not great. Lost to Nad Nuramani already. Yeah, I think this is this his first fight in the U.S.? I think it might be. He fought at UFC. Where was that? First fight in the U.S. I don't like it. It's a bad angle. I'll take Boston Salmon. From what I remember about Boston Salmon Contender Series as well, he does have I think he's certainly the more talented fighter. He should get this done.
They might not even let this dude in looking at his fucking Tapology picks. This fight might be canceled.
Let's see. All right, moving up. This should be entertaining. We got Max Griffin taking on undefeated Russian fighter, shocker, Zalim Imadayev. Wes, have you seen any film of Imadayev?
Yeah, I've actually seen it on that Glow State town there, man. I wouldn't call them cans, but not the greatest talent that they have to offer. But
you're being nice, Wes.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give it the cans over in this promotion at least are fucking tough outs. I mean, they're
not Australian cans.
Yeah, that's different. It really is. An Australian or an Asian can is not a fucking Eastern European can or something in that area.
Yes.
I think this would be a kind of. It's going to be a tough fight for this dude. His first time in the UFC and stuff, but I don't know, man. I think he can get to Max Griffin, man. It will be. I think maybe his stiffest competition, but I don't think much of Max Griffin, man. You're losing split decisions to the ghost of Thiago Alves and shit, man. He does that win over Mike Perry was nice. I had money on him in that spot. The line on the Russian here is, I'm willing to take it. I'd like some plus money though. Mainly more of a fade of Max Griffin. I just don't think much of him, and I think this Russian has the capabilities of being decent. So if this can get to around even money, I'm gonna take a little shot on the Russian.
Can't say I blame you. All right, new Sean.
Max Griffin didn't lose to Alves. He
didn't.
lost. He fucking did not lose that fight.
He didn't win either, though.
Fair enough, but it was in Brazil. There was some home cooking there. That was a fairly.
I bet
he fought like a complete mook.
He fought like a mook, but that was a bad decision. This guy is kind of a can crusher. I'll call it what it is. I know he got his win to go into the UFC against a 35-year-old guy that was 18-8. That's not a terrible record, but he is a 35-year-old. The guy before that 9-10. The guy before that 2-3. At least they got a couple wins on their record, but I gotta fade these guys. You're coming over from Russia. You have crushed some cans. You are knocking these guys out slick. He obviously has
24 years old though.
He is young. He does have power.
He's got potential.
He's got potential, and it's not like he's fighting for some random promotion. Like Fight Nights Global is a legit promotion, so it's a bit of it's less of a can crusher than some of the people we've been seeing, but I had to fade him on this one. I took Max Griffin just for a small bet, 1 unit at -101. I think a little bit more highly of Max Griffin than Wes. I know he hasn't been doing great lately, but I think he can turn this one around.
Lost me against Alves. That's what he said to me.
I get it. You're salty for that, and I don't blame you. I think I ended up passing because I think the line ended up being a little higher than I wanted, so I didn't lose money on it. So I'll lose money on it this time.
And the reality is, without the Mike Perry victory, this guy would be out of the UFC right now. He had a really good night that night, and he's been disappointing since. I mean, he really. The Thiago Alves fight was a real eye-opener. Just how much he slowed down in the second and third rounds of that fight it's just not conducive to having your money on a fighter who's very poor after 6 or 7 minutes. It's unreliable and untrustworthy. He's facing a guy who's young, has knocked out opponents pretty easily in first rounds. Undefeated, coming from a region that seems to produce a lot of fighters consistently. So keep that in mind. I'll take the Russian, but I agree that it's the tape is limited and thin at the tooth, in the very least, to really want your money on this. There's better opportunities, or just more, just more sure things later on this card. This fight's a good one. In the flyweight division, we got Alexander Pantoja taking on Wilson Hayes West.
Yeah, this is a pretty good scrap, man. I've been a big Pantoja fan for a few years now. I really like that guy, man. That dude is just nonstop action, and I think this is a close fight, but I think Pantoja can win this fight, man. I think Hayes is at the point, man, in a weight division to where when you start hitting your mid-30s, and a guy that relied on his athleticism and stuff a lot. I think he might be in some trouble here, man. I mean, he was on pretty, a 3-fight losing streak. It was to a couple legit dudes, and then Moraga got him. But I mean, I bet him against Ben Nguyen. That was one of the lines of the year, I think. It's absolutely fantastic. But I mean, it's Ben Nguyen, and it wasn't like he looked like just amazing or anything. I just think he's this division, man, we see it time and time again. 35, 36 years old. Guys need that speed and athleticism here. You're not just knocking dudes out down at this weight class. And I think Pantoja, a lot of people wrote him off a lot, man, after the Ortiz loss. And I just think Ortiz was just on that roll at that time, man. I mean, he was knocking off everybody, and Pantoja just happened to be one of those dudes. The Eric Shelton win right out of Tough was a really nice win. I think it's close, but I think Pantoja can get a couple rounds here. So I'm going to go with Pantoja by decision. I got him, I believe is minus 140 or so like that. But also looking at Pantoja by decision, I do think Hayes is not going to get finished here, man. He's a really, really tough dude and doesn't get caught with a lot of stuff. And I think that's around plus 175 or so right now. So I'm going to take a little shot on that as well. So, yeah, I like Pantoja by decision.
You, Sean?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Wes says. It is a weird time at flyweight. We still don't know what the hell they're doing. Wilson Hayes is getting old, man. He's got 32 fights under his belt. He's 34 years old. He was on a pretty rough streak, and like Wes said, like definitely against good guys. And I think a lot of people were writing him off. That Ben Wynn fight was a bit of a change up to what people thinking that he was done. Pantoja doesn't really have a big win when you look through his record. I definitely lean him in this fight. But when he stepped up, it was Dustin Ortiz, and he lost it. So this is a decent step up for him. I think he's the better fighter. He's only 28, so I think he's kind of figuring it out at this point. And yeah, I've been a big fan of him. But I just worry that when he does take that step, Wilson Hayes is a tough fighter to look good against. So I'll stay away from a bet, but I'll pick Pantoja.
This is a tough fight to call. I got Pantoja B-, Wilson Hayes a B. Here's the difference here. I think Hayes fought better competition. I think this really does come down to the grappling, and Hayes is like relentless with takedown attempts, averages over 5 takedowns per 15 minutes. Pantoja certainly is a way more higher volume striker, lands 4.3 significant strikes versus per minute versus Wilson Hayes. High land strikes if you're not going to be on the feet. Pantoja's 60% takedown defense. Hayes continues to go after takedowns. I think that's what's going to happen. I think Hayes is going to take him down. It's going to be a little bit like the Figueiredo Jussier Formiga fight, where the older, craftier veteran goes for takedowns and secures them and gets control time that way. And I think that's how he's going to get the win. Obviously, on the feet, it's going to be an advantage for Pantoja. He's got a bit of a size advantage as well, but I'll take Hayes in the takedown. So ultimately, wrestling wins. Moving up to the preliminary headliner, two relatively new guys to the UFC. We got Matt Frevola and Jalen Turner. Wes.
Yeah, I actually like one guy quite a bit in this fight. I think Jalen Turner's going to roll here, man. I kind of really like this kid, man. He looked pretty good on the Contender Series, and then I don't know, it was one of those kind of head scratching matchmaking things. They kind of fed him to Luque, and yeah, and we know just how fucking badass that guy is. And then in his last fight, I kind of didn't have anything on him in that fight. Was just kind of worried. You always worry about a dude coming off of a loss like that, especially a young guy like Turner. And it wasn't against anybody great, but I mean, he came out and performed well, got the finish, and man, I mean, he's just going to be so massive in this fight, man. I think there's like a 6-inch reach disadvantage that Frivola's going to have in this fight. I mean, dude just got starched by fucking Polo Reyes and shit, man. I really like Jason Turner in this fight, man, and I got him at -125, and honestly, this is one of my favorite spots on the entire card. That I think it's a pretty tough betting card to find some spots, and this is one that I actually really like. So, yeah, Jalen Turner, I got -125, and I think he can get a second or third round finish in this fight.
All right, new Sean.
I'm right there with Wes. I don't have a big bet on him, but I got Jalen Turner at -110, and I took it for 1 unit. Agree with a lot of what Wes was saying. Was worried after the Luque knockout, and he came out with flying colors. Obviously, the guy he's fighting wasn't great. He still did what he needed to do. As for Matt Frivola, I just don't think he's that good. There's going to be a big athleticism difference in this fight, length, size, just everything. I think Jalen Hog, definitely Hog. That's the most obvious one. I just think Jalen Turner is just going to be way too much for Matt Frivola. I think Jalen Turner knocks him out.
Oh man, I got both these guys a C, D plus actually. This is difficult for Frivola because of the size difference. I think Frivola is better than people give him credit for. I mean, he fought a really competitive fight with Venata. He can kind of roughhouse and get into it, and there's no problem getting into a bit of a war. He's gonna need to grapple to win this bout, though, because of the huge size gap and just Turner's just natural gifts. I don't know if Frivola has that in his arsenal, though, to do that, to fight a technical fight and to fight to a specific game plan. I think he's actually at his best when he gets into kind of a war, and that's not going to work here because I agree. I think he'll get knocked out. So I think this matchup actually works to Turner's advantage. It's just a bad matchup for Frivola, and Turner wins. I'm going to say by knockout as well. No bet for me yet, but it's not off the table. Pay-per-view time. Here we go. We got Nikita Al Capone Krylov. Is still going by Al Capone, or he has a new nickname?
No, it's some stupid nickname.
Valid. I'm sure it is. Facing everybody's favorite Lisper, Ovid St. Preux. Wes?
Yeah, this is actually one of the other spots that I like quite a bit. I think Krylov he's just bad, man. I don't think this guy's very good. He went over and just got to beating on some fucking garbage men and the ghost of Manny Newton and fucking punch drunk Fabio Maldonado and shit. And I mean, comes back, just gets completely smashed by Blachowicz. I don't get it here, man. How is this dude favored over OSP? Like seriously, like I get that he's kind of a cult figure in the MMA community and people like the guy, but I mean he's not great. I mean the playbook's right there from his UFC return. OSP is going to eventually get this to the mat, and OSP is probably going to get another Von Flue choke. So I like OSP here, man. I'm playing him just a couple units, nothing huge, but I think the wrong guy's completely favored here. So at even money, give me some OSP. Probably take a little small stab on sub as well, because I think that's what's going to happen. It's going to get to the mat, and OSP is going to choke him out.
Okay. New Sean.
This fight just screams stay away from me. I know we've kind of seen this fight before. Oven St. Preux just took him down and Von Prued him. OSP has been looking a little shakier as of late. He seems to get clipped in quite a few of his fights lately. I know Krylov is terrible on the ground. He does throw hammers, though. I understand taking OSP in this fight, and it is a pretty nice number. I just feel like this is going to be one where Krylov might just clip him and fold him. He has the power to do it. I just don't know. For some reason, this is just telling me to stay away. I'll pick OSP to take him down and sub him. And for your guys' sake, I hope he does it.
Fine. I got Osp C, Krylov a C-. I'm with Wes here. I think Krylov's a fraud. He's beating up guys that just aren't very good, and kind of gets early finishes. If he doesn't get an early finish, he tends to gas badly, and on the ground he can be a complete novice. I really see this something. He might like kind of get St. Preux on the feet a bit, and then there's like a sloppy exchange. Krylov ends up being taken down. St. Preux gets his Von Flue choke in, and he wins in the first round. I feel like this happened like 4 times in like St. Preux's career, like something like a scenario just like this. Maybe it's not 4 times, but it's happened. It happened, kind of like Tyson Pedro fight. He did in the Okami fight. Happened in the Rogerio de Lima fight. It's happened more times than. And I mean, he already beat Nikita Krylov by Von Flue choke. He did it to him before in 2014. So this has happened time and time again. Is there anything? This fight actually took place in 2014, in March of 2014. It's 5 years later. Krylov was like 20 at the time. He's now, I don't know, 27 or 22. He was 22 at the time, so now he's 27. Is there anything here that suggests that in the 5 years since this fight happened that Krylov has made any meaningful improvements that suggest that he can beat St. Preux, other than St. Preux being older and maybe a little less durable? Is there anything here? Has he improved his takedown defense? Has he improved the submission grappling, his submission defense? I don't see it. I think he'll lose by Von Flue choke again. That's the play.
Rack it up.
Yep, and I will. I haven't yet, but I will be betting Osp in this bout. Yep, even money. I'm very surprised he's the underdog in this fight. 4 fights left on the card. This one should be competitive. The line certainly is. We got Dwight Grant returning to the cage, taking on one of my favorites, the model, Alan Jobon, back in action. Wes.
Yeah, that's a good looking dude. I'll give him that.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's a good looking dude. Probably not Rocco level, but he's a good looking dude.
Who his jiu-jitsu coach is, right?
Not right off the top of my head.
He might be a flat earther.
Oh, shit. I mean,
Going to the 10th dimension.
I was kind of leaning the other way in this fight, but now that I know we got those kind of talks going on in the gym, I might have to
They take your focus off the Met.
Yeah. We all live inside an eye, dude. That's what it's all about. We're just living inside an eyeball. Yeah, this is actually a really tough fight for me to call. Actually, I think Joe Bond's probably a little bit more talented than Grant, but man, that chin scares me, man. I've seen Joe Band get cracked so many times now. Always loved the dude for the fucking shitload of money he made me against Mike Perry.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the favorite bets that I've hit in a long time for a lot of reasons. But I mean, I see a lot of people like talking about Grant as like this up and coming prospect from AKA and shit. And, like, the dude's almost 35. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not an up and coming prospect from from AKA. Not to mention the loss to fucking Zach Otto. Like, how bad does that loss look now? Looking
terrible.
Back? I mean, and the dude, the guys he's beaten in the UFC just are absolute trash. I mean, if it wasn't for the kind of the chinny stuff with Joban, and not to mention he's 37 now. Did get a later start in MMA, so I don't think that's a true 37 in fight years or anything, but it's still 37 years old. I'm leaning towards Joban, man, but it's hard to have any money on either one of these guys at this point, so I'll probably pass on a bet, but pick is going to be Joban.
Nushan.
Joban's tough to bet on because he can have the perfect game plan. Everything's going. He's good. He's got skills. Everything can be going as it should, and then he just gets and it's all over. I don't think Dwight Grant is that good. He was losing that fight, his last fight against Pedersoli, up until he landed one shot. And I could see it happening again.
The same thing, yeah.
Where Joban's just being the sharper fighter, the sharper striker, and then all of a sudden he just gets clipped by a guy that has big power. So it's really tough to put your money on Joban in a striking in what's going to be a striking contest. I think he's much more skilled, but that chin is just an absolute liability. I'll pick Joban, but I can't put my money on him.
I'm actually going to go be in complete agreement with Wes here. I thought his breakdown was spot on, and that's the reason why I won't be betting Alan Joban, despite I think the more technical attributes and skill set. There are some concerns, and the year layoff, which maybe he'll kind of recuperate a bit, but he's definitely getting a bit old in the tooth, and that is a worry. A couple. This is 3 years ago. I'd have a different opinion. It would have been a bet for sure at this price, but I'm gonna have to sit back. We shall see. 3 fights left on the card. Oh man, this fight is something else. Eric Anders taking on Khalil Roundtree Jr. Wes, what do you think about this one?
Man, I tell off top, Anders kind of went into a place of fucking Thiago Santos, fucking tub of shit fight for me. What the fuck is his name again? Santos getting beat by fucking
Elias.
Anders getting beat by Elias ranks up there with Santos.
Oh, Santos
getting beat
losing to David Branch.
Oh
No.
yeah, when he
Fucking
got
before
moved,
that.
he got smoked.
shitbag. Fucking.
Eric Spice.
Spice-Man.
I mean, Spicely. Wow, I forgot about that. I said that was a lock. I don't think I'd ever used the word lock again after that one.
Hey, that guy's fighting Bones too. Just think about that. But just the Elias fight kind of ranks up there with me because I thought he should have smoked Elias, and I still think he won that fight, dude. I think that was a bad decision. But that's a. It's hard for me to say it's a bad loss when I don't think the guy lost the fight, but it was a bad performance against a guy that I know it's hard to look good against and shit, but I still think he should have fucked Elias up. But coming off that Santos beating, give him a little slack, I guess. The main thing here for me is this fight's at 205, and I think that's where Anders just has to be. Getting to 185, just the dude, he gasses hard, man, at 185. I think the chin's going to hold up better at 205. Definitely the card. Yeah, but I don't know if he uses straight power, just one-shot power. I think he's more of a volume guy that he's going to hit you with 10 or 15. He's going to put the pace on you, and he's going to get you out of there with that. And even and especially in this fight, he doesn't need to be going blow for blow with a dude that literally his only chance probably to win this fight is to land a bomb like that, which he can absolutely do. I was kind of big on Roundtree early. Then he, the loss to Tyson Pedro, which isn't horrible, I guess.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah. Then he's beaten up on just complete cans. I think the Saki win is kind of fluky, honestly. No, Johnny Walker's Johnny Walker, but I don't think Roundtree's like all that talented. I just think he does have some huge power. If Anders fights a decent fight here, doesn't go total mook and doesn't gas, which I don't think he will at 205. I think he should win this fight. It's hard for me to lay minus 200 on Anders right now, though. There's just so many things going on, man. There's so many things you can point at with the guy, with just the beatings he's taken, moving weight classes, just so many things. I just think we did overrate the dude a little bit. I think we thought me and Jay especially thought this guy was, had a chance to compete for titles and stuff. I still think he's really, really good, man. He got a lot of hype. And Roundtree's not the guy, man. He's going to have to land a death blow to take out Anders here. So I like Anders. I'm not sure about laying minus 200 in this spot, so I'm just going to sit back and watch this one.
There's Sean.
Anders laid a lot of fucking eggs in his UFC career. The Machida fight, I was big on him there. He should have won.
He won that fight.
He won that fight. Yes, but here's the difference, though. Like with this guy, with what we think he is or what we think he could be, he should not be having these close fights where he's losing close decisions. Now, I agree with you, Wes. I thought he won the Machida fight. I thought he won the Theodorou fight, but you can't be in those close fights with his style. He needs to be able to knock guys out or put stamps on rounds, because you see what happens. He loses a close decision to Machida. He was probably going to lose that Tim Williams fight until he landed that shit. The Thiago Santos fight, that's a monster he was going against, and then the Theodorou fight, he's in a split decision. So I don't know if it's just the weight class. I don't know if he's just peaked as a fighter. I don't know. It's a scary guy to have a big chunk of change on that. I've seen some people on. Khalil Roundtree, I think he can land a bomb. If he doesn't, then he's probably screwed. Anders is not really a wrestler. Like he can get some takedowns, but I don't know. This is a scary fight for Anders. He's coming up in weight class. He has been beat up a bit in his last, especially in the Santos fight. I don't know. This just screams stay away. If I had to pick something, if I had to bet something, I'd probably bet Roundtree by TKO at plus 253. That guy has huge power, and Anders has not really. When's the last time Eric Anders looked good?
No way you can juice on him here. I can't. There's just no.
I don't get it. Like the last time Eric Anders looked good was probably the Marcus Perez fight. That was in 27. That was the end of 2017. That was 5 fights ago.
He's had some short notice fights and some weight class changes. It just seems like he's always got shit going on too. Like the dude.
Yeah.
There's just so many things.
There's just so much going on there. I don't know. Maybe this is his weight class. Maybe this is one of these guys that he moves up in weight, and
Santos.
I mean, Santos was still good at 185. Like he was still crushing some guys. So I don't know. Maybe this will be a revelation. I guess I'll wait and see. But I just could not have my money on Eric Anders.
I guess I kind of get that. I got Anders a D plus at light heavyweight. I got Roundtree a D. This is interesting because I mean at middleweight I had Anders a C, but moving up, I don't think he was really that big at middleweight. Honestly, I mean he's fairly short. And now he's moving up to heavyweight where he's going to be facing bigger fighters. His wrestling isn't as good as I originally thought it was. His striking is inconsistent. He's got a pretty good right hand. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is kind of on the feet. Roundtree could certainly have some success there, but in any sort of scramble situation, or if this fight even gets close to going to the ground, it's a huge advantage for Anders. So, I mean, Anders just has a better skill set. He really should get the result, but the longer this stays on the feet in traditional striking situation, I do think Roundtree has the advantage. Especially early on, it could be a bit risky. So I'll take Anders, but there's definitely some hesitancy to make a bet. Moving up to why people actually care about this card, 2 fights left, 2 title fights, 2 interim title fights, because we love interim. That's our favorite word in MMA, interim. Israel Adesanya, the last style bender, taking on Kelvin Gastelum for the interim middleweight title. Both guys going for their first ever UFC title. Wes, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty good one, man. Izzy's just, man, that dude shot off like a rocket, man, the past couple years. I mean, I'm sure we could point out some cases, man, but, you know, there's been, you know, a few guys that have, you know, taken over a division in the amount of time that this dude has. All deserved, though. The dude deserves a shot here, I think. I'm a little worried it might be a little too quick. I know we talked before the Gastelum Whitaker fight was going to happen, kind of, you know, looking ahead, thinking that Izzy was probably going to be the next guy if he beat Anderson at that point. And I think we all agreed that, you know, the tougher fight for him out of those two was probably going to be Gastelum. And I still think it is. You know, I lean Izzy in this fight still, but man, it's going to be a tough fight for him. I've seen the face-offs, man, and Gastelum's going to be a small guy in this fight, man. Like, he's going to be pretty small compared to Izzy. And on the feet, I don't see how this is close whatsoever if this fight's on the feet. Like, I can't see Gastelum getting off much. Definitely nothing big on Izzy. I mean, the dude he absolutely does not get hit. His striking defense is his footwork, the way he moves in and out and uses it on the defensive side. It might be some of the best I've ever seen in MMA. Like, just watch his feet. Watch what he does with his feet, especially when he's moving in and out. It's a thing of beauty, man. And I don't think Gastelum's going to have the foot speed and the hand speed to land anything significant on him on the feet. Now, when we get into the clinch and the takedowns, that's the story, man. That's going to be the whole thing. I think Izzy we've seen the improvement on his clinch work and his takedown defense. We've seen that improve. We haven't seen a lot of instances of it to him have to, especially not against the guy that he's going to be fighting Saturday. So that's going to be the question, man. Can Gastelum get inside? Can he get a hold of him? Can he work that kind of fight? Right now, I'm leaning no. Right now, I think Izzy can keep the distance. If he gets on him, I think he can circle out, get off the cage. He's going to have to do that at some point in this fight. And I think he can get a late finish on Gastelum here. But, I mean, it's close, man. It really is close. I think this is a tough matchup for him. I can't lay any juice here. There's no way I can lay minus 175 in this fight. I might sprinkle on Adesanya by KO, maybe just to have something on the fight. but it's a close fight, man. I really was a little closer to a pick'em. I think that's probably where it should be. If you have like a really strong side on either side, it's a little bit dubious. I think it's just so close, but it's a great fight. I think Izzy deserves to be here. It's going to be fun. Pick is going to be Adesanya. Maybe betting by KO.
New Sean.
Call me crazy, Wes.
You like I get it.
I like Adesanya. I got him at minus 160. I got 2 units on him at minus 160. I'm a big Kelvin Gastelum fan. I had a big bet on Gastelum against Whitaker. I was pretty confident in that fight. I just think this is going to be tough, man. Adesanya has an 8.5-inch reach on him. And
have you seen face-off picks? Like, he's way bigger than I thought he was going to be. Like, he's way bigger.
I mean, we know Gastelum is a blown-up short middle or welterweight. He's and Adesanya's. It's not like he's a big middleweight, but he's not. He's definitely not Gastelum. I think the size difference is going to be big. Adesanya is also a guy who can take advantage of that reach. We see this in MMA all the time. Some guy will have a 5-6 inch reach advantage and doesn't know how to use it at all. Adesanya is a extremely good kickboxer who actually knows how to use his reach. I think he's just going to be able to keep Gastelum on the end of his punches, keep him away. If Gastelum gets inside, I think Adesanya is good enough to stuff his takedown or get up if he needs to.
It might be the real.
It's just this match. Like Adesanya, he's going to struggle against somebody with just crazy wrestling. I don't think Gastelum has crazy wrestling at middleweight. I think this is going to be a tough night for Gastelum. Gastelum has such a good chin that I think he's going to be in there and throwing for the whole fight. I think Adesanya probably wins a decision. Adesanya is fucking good. He can strike it with both as orthodox or as a lefty. He's just a very, very good kickboxer, and I think it's enough here. Gastelum is really good. He's shown some really. He's fought against longer fighters like pretty much his entire time at middleweight, and he's been able to get inside, but I don't think any of those guys were as good as Adesanya on the feet.
They're.
I just really like Adesanya here. I think he wins a decision, a wide one.
Okay, this is a competitive fight. I got both guys an A-. Wes is right about the size advantage. Adesanya has a 9-inch reach advantage in this bout. I believe it's 6 or 7 inches on the feet. It really is a pretty significant size difference, and typically you only kind of see that in John Jones fights. Other title fights seem to be a lot closer in length, in those just those physical attributes, but that is a major advantage. I was kind of just looking back at takedowns from Gastelum. He hasn't secured a takedown in a fight since the 5-rounder with Neil Magny.
Wow.
Which he lost back in 2015. That is correct.
He's fucked if he does not. If he does not, like,
and the only fight he's ever landed more than 60. The only fight he's landed 70 significant strikes in is the one against Johnny Hendricks. He landed 124, which is pretty amazing.
Gastelum's
over
a power
3 rounds.
Puncher. He's not a volume guy, that's for sure, and that's going to be tough against Adesanya.
That's kind of what I'm saying. I think that's going to be a struggle. Yeah. It's going to be a struggle for him in that regard. Adesanya lands about 4.5 significant strikes per minute. Gastelum's at 3.86, so fairly close, but the accuracy, Adesanya's at 53%. Gastelum 43, and then neither really takes a lot of significant strikes. Both guys absorb less than 3 significant strikes a minute. Gastelum much closer to 3. Adesanya basically 2 significant strikes a minute. He absorbs at a crazy 69% defense, which is one of the best in the UFC. So
Judas kind of went back and watched the Silva fight, and I think he's right. They scored like a bunch of shit that landed for Silva that never landed. Like,
it doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
it really doesn't. I mean, what are we talking about? That fight, even with what they said Silva landed 31 significant strikes over 15 minutes. So
yeah,
we're basically talking about the 2 a minute ratio. So it's such a low number. Gastelum again averages less than 1 takedown per 15 minutes. I mean, he does have a pretty good success rate when he actually tries to secure takedowns, but he just doesn't do it often. I think he has to do it here to win the title because he's not winning this fight on the feet over 5 rounds. It just seems extremely unlikely. Even he's had some of the men of the division, but it's not happening against this guy. Yeah. He's at a big disadvantage on the feet. If he wins, for him to win the title, he's going to have to secure a takedown. I think submit Israel Adesanya. Is that a possibility? Yeah, sure, it's a possibility. But it looks unlikely. It really does. I'm going to take Adesanya to win the title. And it could be a decision. I wouldn't be surprised. Gastelum, isn't he's pretty durable. He's been dropped, not a lot, but he has been dropped in fights. But he is pretty durable, so I wouldn't be surprised if this goes 5 rounds. As Adesanya kind of, I think will play it a bit cautious, especially since he knows this is the pivotal fight, and if he wins this, the Dana White treasure chest of money opens up significantly. So I'm going to say Adesanya by decision.
Yep. His points plus 120, and if Adesanya wins his title, that dude could absolutely be a star in this sport. Like this is it.
There's a lot on the line. So why is he gonna risk it? That's what I see. I don't think he minds winning even a fairly boring decision. If it's we saw how he fought the Anderson Silva fight. He fought cautious. Maybe it was because Anderson's a legend. They didn't want to embarrass him.
There was a little bit to do with it. Yeah,
but there was definitely some cautious. It was a cautious play, and I could totally see it happening again. Main event time to talk about it. Lightweight interim title. Dustin Poirier fighting for his first ever UFC title, taking on Max Holloway, moving up from featherweight, trying to be the 2-division champion, which seems to be all the rage these days. Wes, start us off.
Yeah, this is just an absolute great fight, man. We don't get a whole lot of these, and this is a great one, man. Yeah, I've seen quite a few people, man, that like Poirier in this fight, and I mean the lines kind of showing it, and I'm a massive Dustin Poirier fan. He's been one of my favorite fighters for a long time, but I think he's fucked in this fight, man. I really don't get it, man, and it's not like I don't think Poirier hasn't got some good wins. I mean, I actually bet him against Gaethje. That looks like a great win now. It is a great win, even though I think that was a great style matchup for Poirier, in my opinion, and that's why I bet him. The rematch against Eddie, I mean that's a really good win. So I mean he's got some really good wins here recently. I mean even in the past, but I mean we're talking about an all-time great at Max Holloway, like an all-time great fighter, still at the peak of his career, moving up to 155 that I think is actually better for him and something that was going to happen anyway eventually. The one slight problem Max has had over the past couple of years is making 145. I think his chin, as good as his chin is going to just be iron at 155. You're not going to have to worry about that. Like, do we really think though that Poirier with the sketchy chin that he's had in the past is going to be able to take 25 minutes of that fire from Max Holloway? There's just no way, man. I cannot see that. He's going to have to get. So people are going to go back to the Gaethje fight and talk about the Gaethje pressure, and the difference between these two is he could hit Gaethje and hurt him and slow him down at times. Gaethje gets hurt. The dude's got probably the best recovery the sport has ever seen, like ever. I don't know if I've ever seen a guy get hurt like Gaethje and just walk like a zombie and go on to win fights. That's not going to happen here. Max has got too good a chin for Poirier to be able to land a couple big things here and there to keep him off of him at times for Poirier to reset and recover. That's just not going to happen here, man. It's going to be nonstop fire for as long as it takes. And that chin's going to get tested again. We know for as good as Poirier has been and still is, he's got a little bit of a sketchy chin. It's held up a little bit better lately, but this is just a different guy, man. If Max drops a little more, it's going to be like a really big bet for me. I do like Max inside the distance, though. I've already played that, but if he gets down to, I don't think it's going to happen. But if he gets down to the minus 160 range, I'm hammering even more. So yeah, Max all day for me. I think he gets a late third, fourth round stoppage.
You, Sean?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for me to add much there. I agree with pretty much everything Wes said. The chin on Holloway is going to be even better, and it was granite to begin with. Is he going to bring a bit of more power up now that he's not drawn up? I don't know. That's not really Max Holloway's game. It doesn't need to be. He just does. He just throws so much volume at you. It's just an accumulation of damage, and that's why I kind of agree with Wes. I think that he gets a finish in the fourth or fifth round after just continually ramping up his strikes. Holloway's a bit of a slow starter. I don't even know if you want to call it a slow starter. I think he just kind of takes the first round to figure his opponents out, and then it's blast off from there. So I wouldn't even be surprised if Holloway loses the first round. It might be a good live betting opportunity because you might get super odds on him after that because he does slow, kind of figures it out in the first, and then it's game on. Poirier has been unreal lately. He's also been fighting fairly good style matchups. I just think Holloway's volume, his stance switching, he can just hit you in so many different ways. And Max is honestly one of the greats. It's tough for me to see him losing here. I know it's a steep price right now, especially for a guy coming up in weight, but I really think he's that good. I'll be looking to live bet him after the first round. I am taking him by TKO. I got it at plus 150 for a unit, so I like that. And then, yeah, just definitely going to be looking to live bet him here.
I got Max an A+, Dustin Poirier an A. That's the crux here. Just by looking at stats, Max lands 6.9 significant strikes a minute over the course of his career. It's the third highest number in the history of the UFC. Only Leslie Smith, I know it's hard to believe, is number 2. And number 1 is Justin Gaethje. He's only absorbed 4.03 significant strikes a minute. So a 2.87 significant strike difference per minute over the course of a 25-minute fight. What is that? That's about 70 significant strike difference. It's a remarkable number. Dustin, he absorbs 3.69 significant strikes. So it's not, he absorbs slightly less, but he lands about a strike and a half less per minute. The accuracy is fairly similar. Max is a little bit better defense. Poirier has a little bit of, grappling. He's going to have to do that to win. But, he landed five takedowns against Pettis, 3 against Jimmy Miller, 4 against Joe Duffy. So he does have some history going there. But when has Max been taken down in recent fights? That's the difference between their first fight and now. Dustin got that submission, and certainly that's a danger area for Max because We haven't really seen him tested, in submission grappling, but he's an 83% lifetime takedown defense guy, and it's gotten better over the course of his career. He forces fighters to fight him on the feet. That was always Jose Aldo's thing. When Jose Aldo was king in the featherweight division, you can't take me down. Try to beat me on the feet, and that worked for Aldo for nearly a decade until he ran into Max, and then that was over. Dustin's going to have to fight this guy on the feet, and Dustin's not as durable. He doesn't land as much. When he gets hit over time, he certainly can take damage, and he can slow down a bit. And then the number one thing I really think is the difference here is Dustin has struggled in his career against guys who throw straight punches and are more technical. He's had a success against guys that more throw hooks and are more power punchers. Yeah, and brawl. When you're forced against just volume jab guys and who will throw combinations at you, it's definitely not Justin's day or Dustin's day. Sorry, that's the difference, and I think that's why Dustin's going to struggle, and he's not going to win the title. I think this is Max's way to the promised land for him to be right up there, with John, with Habib, with Cormier, in that class. If he's not already there, I think after this fight, people will say he's there, at the top of this sport, and he will become the second, a 2-division champion in the UFC. And at TKO at, plus 140, plus 150, that range, I think it's a really good bet. I think Dustin's going to struggle to stay in this fight, especially in those mid to late rounds that Wes was talking about, round 3, round 4. I could totally see a finish. I think you can even get those round props at plus 800, plus 900. Those are really, enticing odds. And Dustin, or rather Max Holloway, we're going by finish, right, Nushan? Is it inside the distance?
We're playing it safe.
We think it's safe, but the way things are going, I have a feel it will probably be a snooze fest of a decision. We got Max Holloway inside the distance at plus 115. Is that the number?
119.
119. Consensus bet of the week: Max Holloway inside the distance plus 119. And that just about does it. We will have 2 new champions, assuming everyone makes weight and there's no drama, in the UFC by the end of the week. Let's jinx it. We've done a good job at jinxing things this year. Why not jinx it a little more? Who doesn't love a little chaos? Chaos is good. Chaos is good. There really shouldn't be another lightweight champion anyway, but that's here nor there. And yeah, that's our show. So we'll be back next week.
Going to St. Petersburg, Russia.
I love my Russia cards, and yeah, that's a fun day for me. It looks like I'm getting tickets to the Amir Khan Bud Crawford fight that night. So,
you motherfucker! You get to watch live.
We actually want to drive up from
Kentucky. Dude, enjoy that, man. You get to watch probably arguably the best pound for pound fighter in the sport right now. Go at it.
I got a call today, and I was like, "Yeah, I can't say no to this one. I'm gonna have to."
Nah, you gotta see Bud live if you have the opportunity, especially when he gets to starch his fucking Amir Khan. That dude's probably gonna be dead.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I like rooting against English fighters, and to see it at the Garden will be a pretty cool thing. So.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool, dude. That's gonna be real cool.
I'm looking forward to it. All right, that is it. Yep, that's our show. Enjoy the fights, and let's go Max Holloway. See you next week.